Okay, time for another update. Let me back this up just a little more. So I have all of the sound deadener in now, which I think I talked about before. This is pretty good stuff, and it's about half the price of like Dynamat. So what I did was I wrapped everything. I wrapped at the back, all on the floor, up the sides. The only place I didn't wrap is where the speaker boxes are, because I didn't know what that depth was going to be. So anyway, that's all got sound dampening on it. And let's come over here. So then I also continued the sound dampening. I continued the sound dampening down these walls, all along the drive tunnel, up over, and then on the kind of like at the rocker panel, I guess you'd say. And then into the foot boxes. So that all got wrapped with the sound deadener. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to create more of a heat shield and a little bit more sound deadening. And this is the material that I found from Air Craft Spruce. Let me see if I have the receipt nearby, which I do. And so it's Air Craft Spruce and Specialty Company. And what this is it's double-sided. It has aluminum on both sides, and then I don't know how good you can see it in this video, but it has like an insulation. It almost looks like you took like blue jeans and stuff and ground them up and then packed it in between. This stuff is, I think they call it 3/8 thick. It's not crazy thick, you can see from the video, excuse me, but it has the aluminum on both sides. So you get quite a bit of thermal insulation from it, and this insulation right here is supposed to help with sound too. So what I did with this stuff is I don't know how well you can see, but I wrapped through here down the drive tunnel. I wrapped back here kind of behind the seats. I put it on the floor. I put it right in this area, which this is the area where your heat's going to come through from your mufflers. So all that's wrapped. And then I wrapped it down inside the foot boxes to try to isolate that heat from the headers. And you can see, let me zoom in on the other side would be better so you can see it a little bit better. So you can see it over there too, how that's all wrapped, and you know, obviously that would be on the opposite side of that is where the mufflers are in the drive tunnel. I didn't wrap it over where my master shutoff switch is, because I didn't feel like I was going to get a lot of heat from there. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to build like maybe a little console / armrest right here. So I didn't want to build that up too much for right now. I also was able to put this stuff on the firewall part of the dash, so up in front, to try to isolate the top of the dash. Now, I think possibly I might put the stuff in the trunk too. Let me move this back. But I'm not sure yet. I've got to kind of think about it. Let me back this up. So I might also wrap all of this too. I'm I'm not sure how much heat you get through here, but I think using that stuff is going to isolate more of the sound, try to keep the sound from migrating into the cockpit. So I might actually wrap all this too. You can see I finished up my two woofer boxes, which were an extreme pain in the butt. And why I say that is you can't just build these boxes and then set them in place because of this diagonal bar coming off the main hoop. It made it kind of a pain. So you gotta kind of cut everything out. There's actually wood in the bottom too, and that had to be forked where this bar comes down so it can pass around it. And then you just kind of assemble it as you go. Like this panel right here, I actually liquid nailed and used like a brad nailer to nail it to this before I slid that panel in. And then, so this piece was attached here. Then I slid this back panel in, which the back panel actually looks just like this one. Let me make sure that I've got, you can see. So the back panel looks just like this one, obviously with no hole. And so I slid that down in place with this already attached. Then back in here, I actually had to use a piece of 1x, and it's like 1 by 1.5. And I liquid nailed and nailed that through this way to this back piece. And then this front piece, what I ended up doing is I liquid nailed it and slid it in place, but then I had to tape it because there's no way to get to this back corner to put these little brads in. So I taped that to the back corner. Then this piece went on last, which, you know, I used liquid nail on this too, slid it up in place, and then brad nailed it around the perimeter. And then this piece was last. And this piece actually was slotted, which is a lot of screwing around. You got to kind of file on the wood with a rasp and kind of mirror that shape. And then I liquid nailed that, slid it in place, brad nailed it as much as I could. And then the U-shaped piece that I cut out of here, I took that piece and then I cut the back side of the roll bar. And then that little piece is simply liquid nailed in place. I put quite a bit of liquid nail on it and pressed it down and let it set up. And then what I did was I took liquid nail and any little spots that I couldn't quite get tight, I kind of used it as body filler around here. So it's, I mean, this is an integral piece to this roll bar. So that's sealed up airtight. And like I said, all the seams are liquid nailed. Where I had to fork that bottom piece to go around this, I was able to get in there with liquid nail and caulk that up. So these boxes are sealed airtight, and they're really stout. One thing that I was going to mention, when I started looking into how to go about building these, a lot of what you read is they use 3/4 inch MDF. But in a couple of the forums, they said a lot of guys will use birch plywood, and this is actually 7-ply because it's only 1/2 inch. They'll use birch plywood because it's quite a bit lighter. And because these boxes aren't really big, there was really no need for me to go 3/4 inch. They're going to be plenty strong enough. I don't have to worry about them flexing. And I have, you know, there's space issues in this back. I didn't want huge boxes because I still want to have cargo space. So these boxes are not exactly to the size that, if you read the speaker information, this is not the volume that the speakers would want to sound optimal. Well, and that's fine with me. You know, it's going to be good enough. You know, I don't know how great the sound's going to be anyways, like I mentioned before. Hopefully I'll be able to hear it. Hopefully I've done a good enough job of sealing off the cockpit to isolate the noise. But anyway, so this is what I came up with. I'm not going to port them if you port them, it actually lets the speaker move easier, which is easier on them, but because these are not the volume size that you're supposed to have, to me, I didn't want to port them and have like a funny sound coming out. So it'll take a little bit more power to power these woofers, which I don't, I don't listen to the music cranked. So, I mean, I'm not listening to rap music and hammering away on the bass. I just want a nice bass sound. So, to me, it made more sense to keep them sealed, even though it will use slightly more power. But these are 10-inch, two 10-inch woofers. The boxes are done now, which is great. I thought about trying to build these after the body was on, but I'm so glad I didn't do that because, I would have had to have been leaning over. It was nice to be able to get up tight and kind of get in through here. And so it worked out great building them ahead of time. And my thought is, I'm going to talk to the upholstery guy once the body's on and it's all painted. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to have him take foam and like kind of pyramid or cone this up and kind of seal it off like this, or if I'll excuse me, or if I'll just leave it flat on top. But these will probably be wrapped with leather, and then the leather will, I'll get this gap filled in with that insulation I showed you, and the leather will kind of wrap tight to this, and then your other panel of leather will come in, or this actually might be carpet, and it'll finish it all off. I still have to sand the corners a little bit more round, but I'm real happy. They turned out, I think, pretty good for building them in the car, and once they're wrapped with leather, you'll never be able to tell. So I think that's about it on the update. So really, I think I'm at the stage that I'm going to be putting the body on. So once the body goes on, my plan is to not take it off again. It'll be done. I'll seal the body. I'll probably, what my plan is to use foam, expanding foam, the same stuff like that you use along the firewall. So I'll probably stick that foam on these bars across the back, and then when the body goes on, that'll somewhat seal it up, but then I'm going to use windshield urethane, which is extremely good glue. And I'll probably just lift the body up slightly and then cut with give a little air gap, and I'll caulk along the seam and then set the body back down and just take my finger and get that sealed off. Because I'm really trying to create a watertight car, and more importantly, somewhat of an airtight car to a certain degree, so that the sound doesn't want to propagate into it. So really excited to be at this stage. It's taken me a long time to get to this point because of all the different stuff that I decided to do to this car, like the power windows and things like that. But I'm really happy to be to that point where the body's ready to go on. Hopefully I'll get it sealed up, screwed down or riveted, wherever I'm putting screws and rivets and bolts on the bottom. But get the body on once and for all, and then hopefully I can take off on the body work and get that done and get it painted. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update because I've made quite a bit of headway, and just happy with where I'm at. And so I will, as soon as I get the body on, I think I'll update you again, or maybe as I'm putting the foam on, I'll update it again. See you next time.